Hello, good morning, and welcome to Sunrise Daily. I'm Chamberlain Uso.
I'm Ayo Makinde. Welcome to the show.
Okay, well, you get to see Mark very soon, but much as, yes, NIDCOM have said that 6,000, about 317 Nigerians have been evacuated recently. So, yeah, doing what they can while they can, and then there are a lot of other Nigerians who will need some attention such that they can be brought back. We also do know Nigerians came back from Sudan a couple of days ago, so something that is equally important. But that also is a particular one that requires attention, which we'll get to see soon. Is got to be it's a peculiar kind of situation in Dubai. Nigeria, there's a couple, they're stranded right there, so they need attention to be brought back to the country. And we're hoping that they eventually will pay attention to that and sort that out.
It's actually quite worrying, when you find out that despite all the good things that one hears, good stories that one hears, the Nigerian who was almost sold outside Nigeria, which NIDCOM intervened and something was done and the person is now safely back home. One would hope that, maybe that kind of intervention might work here. But how it will work is something that
we'll just go ahead and give you that background because, look, this couple, they're seeking assistance to settle bills amounting to about 30 million naira following the birth of a set of quadruplets. Have a look.
Suliat Tijani, 29-year-old indigene of Oyo State, relocated to Dubai in 2017 to be with her chef husband, Shakiru. Life for them had been good enough until they found out their first pregnancy would bring a set of quadruplets.
When my wife told me she had pregnant and she went for a scan, she said it's for baby. I couldn't believe because I was telling her she's joking.
I never thought of having 4 babies because there is no money.
Delivering the babies in Dubai was not an option they could afford, and so they made plans for her to return to Nigeria. However, COVID-19 restrictions on air travel between Nigeria and Dubai did not make that trip possible in time. Suliat was delivered of the babies on July the 1st, 2 days before her planned July 3rd return to Nigeria. They now face medical costs of more than 300,000 dirhams. That's over 35 million naira.
Since July 1st, if you say about the bill, I cannot even say it out. Because it's not easy it's not easy in the UAE, especially hospital. It's not easy without insurance. It's not easy. Because even the amount of the bill is high every day, and the baby they are going to use like 4 weeks in the incubator. So what I just need help.
Shakiru's salary as a low-earning chef has also been slashed in half due to the impact of COVID-19 on the restaurants where he works.
We heard about the story of the family in the local papers. Myself and a couple of friends of mine rallied round and we were able to raise about 30,000 dirhams for them in the space of 1 week. We're still calling on well-meaning Nigerians and people as the family looks at mounting bills of almost 300,000 to 400,000 dirhams. We're calling on you guys as this family really needs your help.
A call also heard by the Nigerian consulate, which has offered to assist the family with 5,000 dirhams. A good deed, but one that doesn't go far enough for these new parents who are desperate for help during what should be the happiest time of their lives. From Dubai in the United Arab Emirates, Mayowa Adegoke for Channels Television News.
What do we say to the story? When I first of all heard the story, it broke we heard it on Saturday for the very first time. And it turned out that same day, we heard a story from Katsina of a couple who had lost about 4 or 5 of their children in one day owing to an IED that exploded on them. I think the children were at the farm and they were holding something that they saw, which looked rather strange. And before they knew what was happening, the device blew up and killed all 5 children. from one family. And, in contrast, we now aired another story showing this couple honest and hardworking, living within their means in a strange country, who have been blessed with quadruplets and now have no funds to be able to look after those children. And I wondered, what an irony. How can life be such a paradox? We need to do everything that we can to be able to see how we can help this couple enjoy the joy that they have been given, the gift of life that they have been blessed with, four at once. When you first of all hear such a story, you'll think, oh, maybe they went to do fertility treatment, but it was something that they didn't even plan. It was just a gift that was given to them. I'm hoping that this is a story that would interest the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. We hear that the embassy in Dubai, has been by them, but it's like this is more than they can do by themselves. I'm hoping that those in charge of evacuations in Nigeria will be interested in this story and see how it is that we can actually help this couple enjoy the gift that they have given. I can only imagine the worry that the parents must be in, looking at their children, and all they can think about, rather than thank God and appreciate what they have been gifted with, are the mountain bills that they have to pay and worry about how they're going to pay them. I'm hoping that, in the middle of that, they will have every confidence that anyone who hears the story will be touched by it enough to want to do something about it, especially the Nigerian authorities. And so I think, on Sunrise this morning, it is only fair, while we're talking about Nigerians that are coming home, and we commend the government agencies that have been at the forefront of this, and ensuring that Nigerians who are stranded everywhere and anywhere are being brought home safely. We also call the attention to this story to say there's one more emergency for you to look at. Can you see what you can do? And I think that's the point of this morning, gentlemen.
Yes, indeed. And we're equally encouraged because we know that the times that certain such stories have run on this station, and well-meaning Nigerians have reached out and attended to such cases. We know that time and again that keeps happening. So again, we're not just waiting for the authorities for this one. If you can, just reach out. There's nothing wrong in doing that because they need that help. And remember what they say: a stitch in time saves 9. So you can reach out to the station, to whichever email you want to. The most important thing is getting across to that couple and putting a smile on their faces. That, I tell you, could go a very, very long way.
And you don't know the kind of statement you make when you intervene in someone else's lives, because from what we have all known, it's like sowing it forward for yourself.
Yeah. All right. So we'll come back and take a look at the dailies today in a moment. Welcome back. Let's take you through some of the dailies here today. Nigerian Tribune: insecurity. Senate wants service chiefs to go. Only Buhari has power to appoint or sack service chiefs. Presidency. So that's what you find there. And then skipping this in the National Assembly. Reps give Akpabio 48 hours to reveal lawmakers who are NDDC contractors. That's what you find here. And then PDP scared of forensic audit of NDDC, APC. So they tucked that one in right there. And then, so who knows, this is going to be perhaps another phase, what needs to be addressed in the probe of activities of NDDC. So there you go. And then speaking about schools, Oyo Council's third term vacation begins July 30. Oyo Council's third term vacation begins July 30. Okay, I'll let you just go ahead and see that for yourself. They also do have sports on the back page. Osimhen must watch, move, roar. Yeah, there's so much about his transfer. Where is he going? There's a new agent now. What next afterwards? So he's got to be focused and ensure that he gets this right, because it's his future we're talking about here. That's Tribune today.
That got anything to do with the new normal? The Daily Trust newspaper leads this time with, of course, the same Senate and service chief story. As killings continue, Senate tells service chiefs to quit. As for riders, as you can see, their fate in Buhari's hands, according to presidency. Service chiefs should leave on moral ground. Find out who said that. Story is on page 5. President should listen to people's representatives, according to experts. Fresh attacks claim 14 in Kaduna, 16 abducted in Niger. This is definitely troubling. Right above that one, you'll find, among others there, how Empower experiences spurred us into entrepreneurship. That story you'll find on page 19 of the paper this morning. Let's leave it there for the Daily Trust today.
And if we look at the Daily Times, you see right there, Buhari under pressure to sack Akpabio, NDDC's interim team. That story is there, right on the front page, just where you see the picture of the late businessman and Buhari ally, Issa Fontoa. You also see there, aviation seized plane in Dubai, Stokes US-Nigeria aviation route. That's also there. Petroleum, NLC president demands downward review of petrol pump price. And just on top of the nameplate is like a repetition of what Speaker called for yesterday. Editorial, Akpabio name corrupt lawmakers. So let's see how it pans out. But that's what's on the front page of the Times.
Vanguard is next. NDDC reps tackle Akpabio. Senate walks Ojugbo out. Oh, there you go. Name lawmaker contractors in 48 hours. Gbajabiamila tells Akpabio. Senate panel walks out Ojugbo over call on panel chair to step down.
Again?
Those after Akpabio must tread with caution. Anang Foundation. So it turns out that the Senate will have none of it. So if you thought you did that in the House of Reps and got away with it, not here, they thought. And so yeah, because eventually they eventually said that, look, now they're asking the minister, you have to name these contractors. So if you've gone that far and haven't said that 60% of it, that's a lot.
It's really interesting. He is a former lawmaker himself. So to make that statement right there in front, under oath, in front of a committee of the House of Representatives, could he know what he's talking about? I mean, some would think.
He sounded sure.
Yeah, I mean, he sounded like, don't worry, let's get this on. And of course, if you also listen to the Speaker of the House of Representatives, he also was quite emphatic in the way he made okay, you got to.
So they're both
names.
emphatic.
So
who blinks first then?
No, so let's see whose emphasis is
we'll
going
see
to.
that. Lagos records 88 new infections as confirmed cases rise to 37,801. That's keeping tabs on those COVID figures. You just want to see that one there. Killings, presidency, Senate in war of words. Gunmen kill 11 persons in another Kaduna attack. So, wow, that's what you also find there. It's quite interesting what we need to focus on. How Malami frustrated the extradition of Diezani, other fugitives, Magu. So, are all gloves off on this one because such comments are making the rounds lately after that presidential panel inquiry. Who knows what's the situation with that inquiry now? So many are just wondering, what was that all about in the first place? Okay, don't forget, if you're keeping tabs on Naira. Naira down to 468.5 to the dollar in parallel market. So what about the black market? So you just want to find out what that is about. So, well, okay, well, you've got your Mr. and Mrs. right there, but,
You blink
okay,
today.
let me see. Let me read it. I'll read it. I'll go ahead and take it. Well, Mrs., I think she was away. She comes back and tells Mr., I'm home, darling. The trip to my parents cost a packet. I know you must be broke. How did you manage while I was away? Mr. just stretched out on the, sofa, says, don't bother yourself, dear. Without money, you'll be forced to be gentle. So, you know what money does, don't you? But take a look at what's on the back page. Trabzonspor fans blame title loss on Mikel's exit. Whoa, he had that much impact. Oh, that's interesting. Good to know. There you go. That's that one. The Chinese company take over Nigerian league. Whoa, not a club, the league. What does that mean? Deal worth $200 million, highest in Africa. So you might need to go there and see how you can sort or make sense out of all of that, taking over the league. Ahead of Chelsea game, Liverpool's name finally engraved on Premier League trophy. I say finally. It was going to be engraved by one over a month ago. So, well, I guess you get what it means. I mean, they're finally going to get their hands on that title 30 years on. Yeah, get to see what and how that is eventually going to play out. So that's Vanguard this morning.
This one on the front page of The Guardian is a little troubling. Loan recovery flops as anchor borrower scheme gulps 240 billion naira. Now, of course, we all know what this whole anchor borrowers thing is about. And for the people who are supposed to get money, do some business, and return it so that others can benefit, this story is telling us that that arrangement is flopping right now. And the anchor borrower scheme has gulped up to 240 billion naira. There are a number of riders. Maize Association says members yet to repay 2019 to 2020 5.4 billion naira. How are others going to benefit from it another time? Poultry Association not carried along in ABP, that's Anchor Borrowers Program. Find out the details of that. Man, catfish farmers lament challenges and technical exclusion. This is definitely something, worth taking a look at. Because if we are talking about developing the SMEs, this is part of it.
What do they mean not carried along in that? They say that they don't have policies that, what?
Oh, we're going to have to find out the rest of that on the inside story. But the fact that loan, for instance, some people haven't paid back what they collected, 5.4 billion naira, is
that's always been happening. I mean, that's why I had the asset management chaps to wade in and see what can transpire. But it's something I think there's a new policy that they're coming up with, so that if you don't pay back some of those loans, they could hit
takes it over.
They could hit your BVN, strike it. So who knows?
Well, that's the lead story of the Guardian newspaper this morning. And right under that, new twists in NDDC probe saga. Reps give Akpabio 48 hours to name corrupt lawmakers. Source insists legislators had contracts. Source, okay? Groups call for national inquiry and scrapping of NDDC. Well, that story is right there, and you'll find the rest on page 6 of the Guardian.
So how is the minister going to respond?
Well, we'll wait.
48-hour notice.
As you've asked the
So
question.
they said 48 hours, or they said they'll bring down the full wrath of the law. So everybody's just watching and waiting to see. Or maybe some are not holding their breath. But who knows? You never know.
It's interesting, that angle, because on the one hand, Senator Akpabio spoke under oath as minister. On the other hand, the Speaker of the House spoke at plenary, official, both.
That's what it's not a major hearing or probe. We just ask questions. That's what the Speaker said eventually when he came on for that particular time after the unfortunate medical situation that we had with the NDDC acting MD. But this one now, they're pretty serious on that.
We're watching. 12 EFCC officials suspended immediately. Find that on page 3. NLC asks FG to reverse hike in petrol price. That story is on page 4. Bandits kill village head and 9 others in Kaduna. Find that on page 5. And international flights may resume in October. Find out the rest of that on page 4 of the Guardian newspaper today. That's the Guardian this morning.
Well, let's quickly look at leadership for you. Niger Delta divided over calls to scrap NDDC. That's the lead story on the front page of the leadership. Is it a case of throwing the baby out with the bathwater? Well, that conversation is on page 4 of the paper. Commission has become an embarrassment to region. That's according to host communities. Scrapping it will complicate unemployment crisis, as according to stakeholders. South governors back forensic audit. Well, that's not news. We went Villa to, ask for forensic audit in the first place. And you also see there, Gbajabiamila gives Akpabio 48 hours to name contract beneficiaries. And people will say that this is there, that is in order, because the response of the acting chairman, NAPCO panel, did not help matters when the Minister of the Niger Delta said, made that allegation. I think the response, more than anything else, gave what the minister said some credibility. I mean, he's okay and off your mic, and now the jokes of the day. So I'm hoping there will be some response to this, considering the fact that the minister said it under oath, even though now we understand that the oath that he made, he didn't sign. And I think that there needs to be some clarification on how that happened. How is it that the minister took an oath and he didn't sign the oath after he took it? Was it deliberate? We don't know. But let's see how that plans out. Looking just beneath the nameplate, sack of service chiefs, PF's prerogative. Presidency tells Senate. That story is also there. Let them go, say lawmakers. Insist Ayamo won't handle 774,000 jobs. Looks like this is beginning to get personal. And if you look just at the bottom there, NAS, governors, Amoy Okaru pay tribute as Issa Funtua is laid to rest. Just at the bottom there, Captain Osa serves notice on Edo governor, demands 2 billion naira in some controversy there around Edo politics. Why we've not distributed palliatives, according to Niger State. Curious story brewing there in Niger State, that donations made by Kakobit to the state have just been in the warehouse and they have not been distributed to those who need them months after they were given. They said they are still trying to work up the measures and how to distribute them fairly. That's a little curious. You also find this one, Akeredolu seeks reconciliation, visit APC aspirants. Let's leave it there. Leadership paper.
Okay, so there you go. That is a look at some of the dailies here this morning. But I'm told that at least some Nigerians have already begun reaching out concerning the couple in Dubai. Well, we knew that there are fantastic chaps out there who are always going to reach out, and it's very good to know, very encouraging to hear that. So that's it's gladdened our heart already. I think the day is already made.
Yes,
the day is already made.
We could just close and go,
So
but
the day is already made. But we know that there will be lovely people.
Let other people also have the opportunity to reach out and do the same, because that's why we are in this world. That song by a group of people in America, musicians sang, Dionne Warwick and the rest of them said that's what friends are for, times like this.
But it's all important. The nation must take a step.
Well,
country has to take a step.
Well, the country has perhaps taken a first step, by offering something for
this couple.
Yes, that's part of what they have already. They began that, offering them some. The Nigerian embassy there in Dubai has already made some overtures, but how far-reaching that's, according to, of course, the report by our correspondent there. But that's a good start, perhaps.
All right, so there you go. We'll be back in a moment. Stay with us.
COVID-19, a new strain of virus from the family of coronaviruses, has been recorded in over 200 countries, areas, and territories around the world. The highly infectious virus is transmitted primarily via droplets of saliva or discharge from the nose of an infected person through coughing or sneezing. These droplets can then be acquired by anyone in close contact through breathing in the droplets or by touching objects and surfaces with the droplets and then touching the nose, mouth, or eyes. While it's been said that some infected persons may not display symptoms, common signs of COVID-19 infection include dry cough, fever, sore throat or diarrhea, and difficulty in breathing. Do you or someone close to you have these symptoms? Call the following numbers.
The terror unleashed by Boko Haram for years has been deadly. The biggest casualties, mostly residents of the northeast. But beyond the northeast residents killed, an alarming number of members of Nigeria's armed forces in the front lines against the terrorists have also been killed. A federal lawmaker warns that the recent ambush of soldiers, as well as the alleged voluntary retirement, should worry the Senate.
That just recently, 24 soldiers were ambushed and killed along Damboa Maiduguri Road in Borno State. 19 were wounded and 9 were declared missing in action. The Senate is disturbed that in Katsina again, about 20 soldiers were also ambushed and killed, while several others were wounded.
His colleagues agree.
The latest development that is novel and unprecedented is the resignation of over 200 soldiers. This shows the level of disaffection and disenchantment in the front lines.
A senator adds to the recommendations made by the upper chamber.
Corps of service chiefs should step aside for new ideas to come in so as to energize our security system.
Mr. President, I rise to second the motion as ably moved that the service chiefs step aside for new people to come in. I so second.
Swiftly, President Buhari's special advisor on media and publicity, Mr. Femi Adesina, responds to the Senate's call for the resignation of the service chiefs. In a statement, Mr. Adesina reiterates that the appointment or sack of service chiefs is a presidential prerogative, and President Buhari, in his capacity as Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, will do what is in the best interest of the country at all times. However, briefing journalists, the Senate spokesman explains that the legislature has the moral duty to be concerned about the security of Nigerians.
What I can say is that an advice by elected parliament ought not to be taken with levity, even though it does not have legal binding effect. It is advisory and it shows our serious concern for security.
Meanwhile, the drama between the National Assembly and the Niger Delta Development Commission is not abating, as the committee walked the Director of Projects, Mr. Cairo Jubu, out of the meeting after he insisted that the chairman of the committee, Senator Peter Nwoboshi, step down as chairman.
He has been an active participant in the affairs of the Niger Delta Commission, both as a contractor and as an investor.
Cairo, please, I will not take this up. Let me make it clear to you. Cairo, I cannot sit down here. I can't sit down here and take this all from you. If you don't want to listen, if you don't want to, you can go. In any case, let me start. Can we have can I have your letter asking me to sit for the chairman, sitting for the MD?
Of course.
Do you have anything? Because we did not invite you, we invited the MD.
The Senate Committee on Niger Delta convened this meeting to investigate allegations of the alleged sack of staff of the Niger Delta Development Commission. Linda Akibi, Channels Television News.
All right, welcome back. So we'll be taking a look at the security component of that report. The motion moved on the floor yesterday. The Senate asking the service chiefs to step aside. Now, this is not take a bow and go now. This is like step aside as a result of what they call, refer to as the insecurity situation that has happened in different parts of the country. Well, we do have Shehu Mahdi, a human rights activist, joining us this morning to give his perspective on the security situation going on in different parts of the country. Good morning, and thank you for joining us today. Well, the Senate, apparently, they're also mindful of the situation in Katsina State as well. So do you think that this motion that the Senate has moved about the service chiefs, even though the presidency has said the president will do what he has to do, it is his call, how should we approach this? Are these concerns not worthy of note in your perspective?
Well, a'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. For my non-Arabic speaking viewers and my non-Muslim brothers and sisters, this simple Arabic incantation, if translated simply, means I was begging, urging, and beseeching God Almighty to protect us from Satan the occurs. And I think there is no better time to start a prayer than this time when everybody seems to be on his own, everybody for himself, God for us all, and survival of the fittest. Unfortunately, in a democracy like ours, the National Assembly have extreme limitation. The executive power, absolute power, is vested in the office of the president. And with such a power in his office, he can do as his wish. They can only express their own views, pass in emotion, go into debates. At the end of the day, it may end up being an inordinate silence, unfortunately.
So where you sit as an individual and with all the issues that are going on in that part of the country at this moment, a number of people have also continued to cite the fact that there are soldiers there that have been complaining, and some of them allegedly have resigned. What for you strikes you the most about this whole thing, especially the human rights component for those soldiers in particular? And how do you think the army, if at all, should approach this matter?
If the resignation is, as being reported, is true, it means they are people of conscience. You know, when it comes to taking decisions, people ask various questions. Like, for instance, when a banker is taking a decision, his ultimate final question is, will I make a profit out of this investment? If a politician is taking a decision, he asks only one question: will my decision be popular? If a lawyer is taking a decision, he always asks whether it is balanced, equitable, and justice. If a coward is taking a decision, he always asks about whether it is safe. People of conscience will ask only one question: is it right? And once it is right, they go ahead to do it, damning the consequences, irrespective of who is involved. If these soldiers are resigning, as being reported, perhaps they are resigning out of being nationalistic and being conscious of what is happening, that they cannot continue to stomach the daily killings. People are dying in my own state. In 8 local governments of my own state, they are under siege. People are being killed by the minute, by the hour, by the day, by the week, by the month, all year through. And we say we have government in power. And we say we have elected representatives in power. And we say we have an assembly in the state in power. And we have people of conscience all folding their arms, keeping silent, as if they could be called cowards.
But if you also, I don't know, you may need to clarify one or two things that you said, but add to that the fact that, there is this thread, this Twitter thread of the presidency in Nigeria, saying that available records in Southern Kaduna says that the Southern Kaduna enjoys comprehensive security deployments, including the Army, special forces of both Army and Air Force, and all of that, and added that from available security records, the problem in Southern Kaduna is an evil combination of politically motivated banditry, revenge killings, and mutual violence by criminal gangs acting on ethnic and religious grounds. Do you agree with that? Do you think that is something valid?
It is valid to an extent, and anything is possible in the brand of democracy being operated in Nigeria. Why do I say so? It is a democracy based on inducement, based on bribery, based on corruption, based on man's inhumanity to man. If available resources are being used and deployed sincerely, honorably, judiciously, it will go around and people will have enough to keep them away from violence. But when a handful class of clique, cartel, and cabal hijack the entire economy, personalize people's common patrimony, and enjoy to the total exclusion of majority citizens, of course, there will be apprehension. Of course, violence will be the watchword, and violence will be the daily happiness. You can't stop that. In a country where people are living, more than 80% of Nigerians are living in abject poverty, in the midst of more than enough. When you hear billions of naira being spent, when you hear trillions of naira being spent, and you see people living in abject poverty in the midst of plenty, it means all is not well, and all will never be well until the wrongs are written.
I think that the states, are pulling their weight in this whole situation about curbing the security challenges that exist in different states. I mean, from where your perspective, for instance, in your states, from what you've seen, are they doing enough? Because they think that, look, we're doing what we can about this security situation. Especially sometimes they say, look, politicians are the ones trying to fuel some of these things. Does that make any sense to you?
It does a lot. And let me be quite specific on my own state, in Katsina State. If anybody claims he is doing his best, then the best is not enough. Not long ago, the governor, Right Honorable His Excellency, my brother Amin Bello Masari, openly admitted that he cannot look at the faces and the eyes of the people of Katsina State because he is feeling ashamed. He has failed to protect them. Chapter 2 of the Constitution clearly defined out why people come into governance and why there is even government in the first place. To protect lives, properties, and dignity of people. But when people are being killed like rats, when houses and properties are being burnt down, when women are being raped all over, gang raped all over, what is the honor there? That is the more reason why he should have resigned along with his own cabinet. He has admitted failure in spite of the fact that between June 2015 to June 2020, the state government squandered 52 billion naira in the name of security. Yet, insecurity is increasing. The more the amount of money is spent in Katsina State, the more the number of people killed, the more the number of people displaced, the more the number of people traumatized. This is the irony of spending such amount of money. Therefore, if they are doing best, if they are doing enough, that enough is not enough. They need to do more. People are distressed. People are displaced. People are angry. People cannot sleep. People have been displaced in Katsina. People are in absolute, total, complete fear 24 hours in a day. Some are gasping for oxygen. Their jugular veins have been held prostrate. They have been asphyxiated. Their economy has been destroyed. And yet people expect that we will all keep quiet and remain cowards. Perish their own thoughts. We are not going to remain cowards. We will continue talking. Posterity will write and will record this government in Katsina State as the government that has failed people woefully and completely. It's a government that came on the slogan of fighting corruption, yet you can see corruption completely on two legs. Corruption in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening, in the night, and at midnight. It is evidently clear that the issue of fighting corruption is not the priority of this government for now and for all times to come.
Well, given the nature of the security challenge in the state and in different parts of the country as well. For those governors who say, look, there's only so much that we can do because the military have got to stand up and be counted in this one. They just think that their hands are tied. So would that be a valid point to say, look, then it's up to the presidency to take that action and ensure that the service chiefs haven't given them the stern warning that they need to do much more than they've done before. So is it fair for them to say, look, it's up to the presidency. The state governors can only do as much?
No, see, you cannot pick people's money, continue to spend money in the name of security, and then when you fail woefully, you turn back and blame the federal government. Security is a collective responsibility involving everybody, all and sundry, the government, the governed, the security agencies. But where you find the state government spending money under every security pretext, yet the security is not there, it means all is not well, and everybody must look at their own eyes and tell them the truth. They are not willing to hear the truth. They are not willing to listen. They see everybody as an enemy. If you don't want to be criticized, if you don't want anybody to make a valid observation on you, please resign. Democracy, the moment you offer yourself for a public office, it means you have made your secret and personal file public for everybody to scrutinize. We have the right to ask questions as to how our monies, common patrimonies, and our resources, and our lives, and our properties are being managed or mismanaged. If they are being mismanaged, we will continue to find out, we will continue to shout, we will continue to talk. Nobody can silence us into silence. Nobody can make us keep quiet. We will continue to talk. All is not well in Katsina State. We are just being deceived. Documents available have shown that it is just a distribution spree. The moment money comes in through FAC allocation by the month, you could see how they feast on the money, especially the money for the local government. Recent discovery has shown that the moment money comes in, after local government salary, local government staff salary, and teacher salary, the next deduction is that of deducting 5% as provided by law to the two emirates in Katsina. There are 34 local governments. 29 local governments fall under Katsina Emirate Council and 5 under Daura. Official documents have shown that in the last 3 years, 2016, 2017, 2018, over 1.8 billion naira was deducted from the local government accounts of 29 local governments under Katsina Emirate Council, which is supposed to be remitted to Katsina Emirate. But available bank documents have shown that only a fraction, negligible fraction of that money was remitted by the state government to the Emirate Council account. Similarly, also in Daura, over 893 million naira was deducted from local governments that are under the Daura Emirates, 5 of them, and a fraction of that, negligible fraction of that, was remitted to the Emirate. This money allocated to the Emirate is meant for the welfare of the subjects under that Emirate.
Well, what we will do, we would like to see those documents such that we can eventually follow up on that and then get across to them to have them respond to those particular materials such subsequently on that matter. But so we can continue with the security situation this morning.
Well, that's actually quite important. But then you may also be aware that in the northern region, there have been conversations by the Northern Governors Forum on so many issues that they want to raise as far as things are concerned. But let's take this to Abdul Shola Mohammed, who is a legal practitioner. He joins us virtually. Thank you for joining us this morning. Well, all of these issues that are happening will definitely concern you as it does everyone who is aware of it. First of all, what do you make of these conversations going on about a repeated call by the National Assembly for the service chiefs to go Some are saying they should go on moral grounds. Some are calling the president to take them out, to bring in new, fresh ideas and all of that. What do you make of it?
Well, thank you for having me this morning. Like you said, this is not the first time that these calls have been made. And the fact is that the Nigerians make this call because they see that what these people are doing is not working. It's clearly not working. The work they are doing, they're not doing it well. And why is it that it's working? It's not working simply because the people of the defense staff, all of them, the service chiefs, they are not doing their work and they are abusing their authority in a way that our fighting men and women are just not willing to follow them. They don't have their backs, they're not following them, they don't trust them. Therefore, it's not
definitely, get back to that conversation, because this is definitely something that would concern everybody in Nigeria. Evil or ill to one is ill to all. That really is the way we are supposed to be looking at this issue. Because just as Shehu Mahdi said, this conversation about insecurity is something that pervades the entire nation. Southwest is dealing with its own. But one of the things that a number of people have said is, now look, if these are bandits, it's not unknown insecurity, and it's not an unknown insecurity issue. If it's banditry, why don't we just go after them? But then let's go back to Abdushola Mohammed. So please go ahead and conclude your thoughts on this.
Yes, thank you. I was saying...
Okay, well, we'll try and sort that out.
Well, that's one of the challenges of working from home, right? We deal with it on the go.
Well, Senator Francis Fadaunsi also joins us. He's the Vice Chairman of the Senate Committee on Customs, Excise and Tariffs. Good morning, Senator. Thank you for joining us today on the program. Well, we did see you in the report eventually about the motion concerning the service chiefs. Well, Senator Ndume did say, look, that was not his original motion. He has stepped out, and then when he came back, the motion had been amended to asking service chiefs to go. And you, at least you spoke on the floor at that time. Could you explain to us how did that happen? So was it, he says, it wasn't really necessary for that call. Do you agree with that?
Well, I'm not here to join issues with Senator Odume. Actually, he brought a motion. The normal thing is when you bring a motion for a debate, automatically you need the contributions of other senators. And that when it is now for amendments and new amendments, new prayers, everybody from different parts of the country, particularly people like us from Southwest with our own experience and with our background in the same security outfit, we had to stand up. The whole Senate agreed that since every day, every time we stand up, 1 minute for losses of our own boys and girls in the war theater, and the innocent people, particularly around that area, plus all other areas in like Northwest, and the banditry issue that is flowing down to the West. We now say, okay, since these people are tired, these people have overstayed, automatically let them step aside, and the new ideas that have been compressed should come up so that we use the new ideas to energize our security outfit so that we can get a new leaf. That's the Senate decision. It's a majority decision, not Dume's decision.
Well, the presidency has responded to that, saying, well, it is the president's call to decide whether or not the service chiefs have got to stay or to go. What does that then do to the call by the Senate that the service chiefs should step aside?
Well, the president has the power to hire and fire, but he is the president of the country. He is the father of the nation. He is the commander-in-chief of all the armed forces. But when things are not normal, the way we feel that it should go, automatically the Senate, in its own wisdom, as the matured minds of 109 people, we have to follow suit with what House of Rep did. Early in the year, House of Rep had called for the resignation of these people, that they overstayed. And their overstaying has already brought in frustrations down the ladder. And you see that the morale is gone. Then the Senate, with all the discussions we had yesterday, the Senate now decided, well, if these people can no more deliver, both Borno, Katsina, Yara, and they are only for them to be going and coming out telling us this, then we ask them, stay aside, let the new ideas come. It's not something that is a big deal. The president, we advise the president, that is a strong advice from the Senate. So which means the two chambers, that is the House of Rep and Senate, we are on the same page now that these people, let them go and stay aside. They can be advising the new ones. The new ones have the modern technology. With all what we have pumped into the system, we have approved a lot of funds there. Then let them go and stay aside and let the other group come in and see what we will do.
Okay, pardon me, Senator. Mr. Femi Adesina is also joining us this morning on the same matter. Good morning, and thank you for joining us today on the program. Well, it's like national. Haven't heard what the senator has said, so it appears this is Nigeria now saying, look, yes, they may recognize from what you've said, it's the president's call to make that decision, but the National Assembly now saying, look, from what they're seeing here, it's not working. What's wrong in asking that the service chiefs should step aside?
Well, you asked what was wrong in it. Nothing wrong in it. Nothing. But like the spokesman of the Senate also explained yesterday after the meeting of the upper chamber, he said it was purely advisory. Purely advisory. So, advices.
Mr. Adesina, pardon me, but the sounds are just looping, so we need to just sort that out. Incidentally, it coincides with our time to go to break, but we'll come back and get you to start off your thoughts on this matter. Please join us again.
Well, it's still the same conversation about insecurity. Let's just take this back to Abuja. Our Abuja studio will get Mr. Femi Adesina back soonest. But Mr. Mahdi, this conversation has begun, and we continue to make these issues on and on. The thing about this is that it is troubling that despite every action that everyone is taking, things seem to be going like this. Is there any role that you think the people in these communities can play to stem the tide of insecurity?
It is persistent because we are living in denial. In every society you go to, in every community, we know and they know. They know exactly who are the vandals, who are the criminals, who are the bandits, who are the kidnappers. They are someone else's children, they are someone else's husbands, they are someone else's brothers, they are someone else's uncles. These criminals are in our own midst. But we are lacking in the courage, in the guts, and in the audacity to tell the security agencies that these are the people involved. This is where the community has failed woefully. on the part of the security agencies, if you have security outfits they are competing in animosity. Some of them don't even see eye to eye. They don't share intelligence. They are envious of each other. There is no way in such a situation where security of lives and properties will be enhanced and will be guaranteed. On the part of government, rather than spending money, state governments are spending monies for their own personal. I can give an example. In 2019, on the 24th of
January
just one 2019.
Moment. My question to you is essentially targeted at what do you think the people in the various communities can do? Because as we often say, insecurity is first of all local. But let me take this to Senator Fadausi. Now, you said, of course, from what you have, your opening comment, you have some significant experience, in this whole security matters. With all of the allegations going on, 200 plus soldiers allegedly retired. Some of them have been killed, in some very controversial, very displeasing and depressing manner. And some monies, a lot of money has been spent, some budgeted money has not been released to the military and all of that. Do you think it is a good time to call for some questions to be asked of the military, the army in particular? Do you think it's a good time to begin to ask, the army questions about why all these things are happening, why the insecurity persists, why soldiers are dying, why do we have such depressing, elements in the depressed people who are uncomfortable with what's going on in their service to their fatherland? Do you think it's a good time to begin to ask questions of the military?
There is a linear relationship.
See, that question is for you, sir. Senator, can you hear me? I'm not sure.
What it is turning out to be. Okay, well, let's go again.
Okay, well, Senator, I hope you can hear me right now.
Yes, I'm hearing you.
Yes, I was asking. Good time for us to begin to ask questions from the army about why soldiers are allegedly retiring or resigning their appointments, why soldiers are being killed in various states, in the northern region in particular, why monies that are meant for the soldiers are allegedly being diverted or not being given to them to boost their welfare. Do you think it's a good time to begin to ask questions?
Well, I was on behalf of my colleague that if Mr. President, in his own wisdom, can call for serious forensic auditing into military operations, even from when he has taken over, things will have been normal. We will have seen what is going on there. But when we are afraid of our own people we pay, these are the people we employed. He employed them. He gave them uniform. They cannot be lord over his people. They are supposed to protect us. We pay them to protect us. Automatically, when things are not going well, he has the right, he has the power to look into the activities of the military. He is a soldier to the core, and he will die a soldier, brave soldier. He's a brave man. Let him order the forensic auditors into the activities. He will see what is going on. After all, he was the one who ordered the auditing into NDDC, and things are going normal. And people, the whole world is seeing what is going on in NDDC that has not made the Niger Delta to grow. It's the same thing he should do to the military. It's the same thing he should do to all the revenue agencies where all these fraud and corruptions are perpetrated. Let the president take the bull by the horn. He did it he questioned Magu. And automatically he will be able to question the military guys. What is going on in the world? We are hearing everything. He will not hear everything. We are his ear. 109 of us are representing his senatorial constituencies. 360 of young men and women, they are representing the constituencies, which means The whole unit is, the whole constituency is for the Mr. President, which all of us represent, and we are supposed to gather information and tell him. That's why we are telling him the truth, that things are getting abnormal, things are getting bad. That is my advice for now. They should be quite to question. Not every day you demand for money. Demand for money to go and fight war. Chad there doesn't have the money we have. They were able to push the people away to Nigeria, almost 25 kilometers in the Nigerian territory. So if Nigeria that has almost the whole wealth and the manpower should not be able to quash these people, then the president should call them to question.
All right, let's bring in Mr. Femi Adesina on this matter now. Mr. Adesina, go ahead and continue your train of thoughts before we went to break.
Yes, thank you. Before the break, you were asking if there was anything wrong with the advisory from the Senate, and I said, no, there was nothing wrong with it. But as advices go, when you get an advice, you weigh it, you look at the pros and cons of it, and then you decide what to do with it. You may take it wholesale, you may take it partly, or you may not take it at all. You look at the statement from the president yesterday. It was stated.
Well, apologies, Mr. Adesina. It turns out it's one of those mornings. We're just getting this sound just looping, but they're working on that to ensure that it's really sorted, because we need to get that perspective of yours in here now on this matter. So, but let's get back to our studios in Abuja. Well, as it is now, Senator, the way it's turned out, yes, as a result of what the Senate has now resolved in line with the National Assembly. So perhaps I should even ask Mr. Mahdi of this now. Haven't seen where we are, even though we'll try and get Mr. Adesina to clarify and find out what can be the next step for the president. Everybody knows that they're all asking, let them bow and go. If that doesn't happen, what options do you think will be left with Mr. Mahdi first?
Well, I advise that Mr. President should think wisely, act wisely, behave wisely, and listen to the clarion call of the Senate, the clarion call of the House of Representatives, and the clarion call of the larger society, that there is a total disenchantment, there is a total resentment, there is pain going on in the way and manner the security agencies have failed woefully in checkmating this menace of killing, maiming, kidnapping, arson all over the country. There is no state where there is no presence of military now in the country. It is an indication that all is not well. Ignoring or taking time to act will only prove perilous. And time will tell that ignoring these calls, wishing these calls away, will not augur well for the larger society and for continuous existence of Nigeria in peace.
So as this question of Senator Fadausi, well, you've spoken the other time that if anyone is to ask questions, you should be the president first. Of course, especially because he's already doing that with Mr. Magu. What do you think the Senate Committee on the Army or other, military committees, what do you think they can do to intervene in this matter? Maybe to ask these questions? I'm trying to shy away from using the word probe, Senator Fadausi.
There's nothing bad in probe, but if it is targeted at giving a good result, the Senate Committee is a section of all the whole House, the whole committee. The whole committee decided yesterday that at least to go forward, these people should step aside and let things move. Then the Senate Committee, this case has been referred to Senate Committee on Defense, on the Army, and all others, including Internal Affairs, so that they can go further and do the needful. So the result will come out. But every time since for the past 1 year, we have been calling the army chiefs to ask them, and the whole answer is all is well. We are on top of the situation. This is another 1 year, making 6 years of this administration. Then, if my own son or my daughter is deceiving me, I should go to town and ask question whether he's doing well. Then the Senate and the House of Assembly, including all the houses of assemblies that are localized, are complaining that all is not well. So, Mr. President should hear the cries and the pains of his children so that he can act fast before this thing generates into another thing. You see now that a society that is highly militarized will always breed criminals. Look at Niger Delta when they were bombing, doing all sorts of things. Yar'Adua came there, instead of retaliating with bomb, he called them to table and they discussed, and finally the pipeline bombing, the criminalities in the Niger Delta went away. This is what we should do. When this problem started in Borno, it was a civil case, not even a criminal case, police case. Then later, it exaggerated. Today, you will see that in all the news and cronies of Nigeria, you see military commonly found on the road. Military is a sacred army that should not be seen on the road like police, like civil defense, like road safety. These are all civil people that should deal with civil people before you criminalize them. A case you see bombing here and there, the people will be used to it. A case you see killings here and there, the people will be used to it. The other time we are hearing from Iraq, 10 people died, 30 people bombed. We are saying, in this world, now it is here now that we are bombing, we are killing. It is to see people military commonly on the road, performing police job, it is an aberration in a democracy. Military is supposed to be the last resort, the last resort we will recall to if there is problem. Now, if we have external war, what do we use? Common crime, polling booth, you see military. Anything you see military. When there is an external aggression, where do we go to? That is what Mr. President should think about and reserve the military to purely war, external aggression. And let us resolve what is the fundamental problem of these insurgents. They are all our children, our boys. Most of them are even graduates, that they don't have work due to our own negligence. That's the question they are asking from us, and this thing is escalating to a lot of, almost throughout the region now. That's my own advice to the government.
All right, Senator.
We are on the same page.
Apologies, Senator, but let's get back to Mr. Additional now. I think we should have him speak to us. Mr. Additional, could you please go ahead and respond?
Yes, thank you. Chamberlain, I hope the network cooperates now. The question you asked before the break was that, was there anything wrong in the advice of the Senate to Mr. President? And I said, no, there was nothing wrong, as advices do go. But the thing with advice is that when you have one, you assess it, you appraise it, you evaluate it, you then decide whether to take it wholesale, you decide whether to take part of it, or you decide whether to not take it at all. In our statement, you notice that we said the resolution of the Senate had been noted. That is telling the country, telling the Senate that the President could look at it. And looking at it will inform and condition the decision he will take, because the decision is his own. To use your word, it is call. So that advisory will inform and influence the decision he's going to take.
But yes, we hear you. But the thing is, this is now like a vote of no confidence, if I could use that word, on the activities of the service chiefs concerning what is going on with security. I mean, yes, it's Nigerian army. the country has no choice. We have to love Nigeria and we have to support the Nigerian army. But this call too, they see it in that regard, saying, look, things are not working. It is time for a change. Yes, it's the president's call, but now they're asking, shouldn't the president now speak sooner rather than later to this matter? In fact, take action as soon as possible.
Well, starting from your assertion that is a vote of no confidence. If you listen to the spokesman of the Senate last night, Senator Ajibola, he said no, that it was not a vote of no confidence in the military or in the service chief. He was emphatic about that. It was not a vote of no confidence. Now, to the other part of your question, shouldn't the president do something? The president, as a statement also indicated yesterday, will do what is good for the country at any given time. And on this matter of service chiefs and the military and insurgency, he will do what is right at the given time.
Well, there's a politician, so I don't know what other word, because this is English. If they are asking the service chiefs to step aside, where then lies the confidence? If they believe in their job, why should they be asking them to step aside? Don't you think it was just being political? Because they can't be playing politics with people's lives. People are dying as we speak, and so it calls for urgent attention.
Yes, it's English, but there is also parliamentary register. When they say vote of no confidence, it has its peculiar meaning. And the Senate spokesman already indicated last night that what they didn't amount to vote of no confidence. Do we have challenges, security challenges in the country? We do have. And the statement of the presidency admitted that yesterday. We have multi-pronged security challenges. Are they being tackled? Yes, they are being tackled. So let nobody sit back and begin to kick and throw stones at the people at the very vanguard of tackling these challenges in a way to dispirit them. No, they are doing their best. The president himself said, yes, he wanted more from them. And if after some time the president, who is in a position to assess what they have done, now says, oh, your best is not good enough, then he does the next thing.
Well, there was another release, another press statement from the presidency, sometime last night, alluding to the killings in southern Kaduna. We read it earlier. I'm not sure you caught it, but the question I'd like to ask from that statement is where it says that in a situation in which one criminal group will kill a member of another criminal group out of ethnic and religious motivations, which in turn leads to the eruption of revenge and counter-revenge, thereby making the job of security personnel deployed to protect lives more difficult. This statement suggests that the presidency is aware that there are some bandits in action right there in southern Kaduna. If this is true, are the security agents aware of this? Can't they just pick up these bandits and put an end to the banditry?
Okay. In every society, there are deviants. There are deviants in every society. Even in the best countries of the world, you still have deviants. In the most peaceful part of the world, you still have deviants. That is why you have security forces in different countries, because they know that these deviants can rear their heads in one way or the other. In Kaduna, the situation is primordial, and it has lasted for decades. That statement last night that you referred to also asked the people to cooperate, so that there could be peace in that part of the country. Unless the people themselves also cooperated, peace will be difficult. Because it's not every time you legislate or enforce peace. Even the stakeholders themselves must be willing to have peace. So it's not just a matter of going out there and picking the bandits. It's going to be a collaborative effort.
Well, Mr. Additional, last night on the News at 10, Senator Ndume said, well, the military, they are poorly funded, they're not well equipped, so they can't perform when they don't have the machinery, the wherewithal to do that, and that some funds has only just been released to them. I don't think it's even up to 60%. Maybe I think it's at about 40–50% of funds or thereabout. So how is it that at this point, in spite of all the funds allocated by the National Assembly, approved by Senate, funds are just being released and then they are not well equipped? Because he's chairman of the Senate Committee on the Army.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, there is a difference between funds allocation and funds release. We hear when funds are allocated, but between the point of allocation and the point of release, you can have another full quarter or even 6 months. So, and that often is a question of paucity of funds. If the funds are not enough to go around all the vital sectors in the country, you have to apportion. But I agree with you that the defense sector could use more funds. But if you now compare what used to be with what is now, I think there is a great improvement in terms of funding the military. They may not have arrived at where they want to get yet, but there's a lot of improvement. Senator Fada Unsi, who incidentally is my own senator representing my senatorial district, spoke about auditing the military, just as NDDC is being audited. He seems to have forgotten that audit, particularly audit of military procurement, it was done. It lasted over several months, and many senior officers were indicted, and they were forced to return some of the funds, and some are still on trial. So, an audit has been done, and funding has improved, but we may not have got to where we want to be.
Well, Senator Fada Unsi, you want to quickly react to what Mr. Adesina said?
Well, Senator Adesina is my own junior brother. He's doing his job. I won't blame him. But he knows the reality on ground. All of us, when we go outside our villas, we know what is going on in the villages where we come from. Things are not normal there. He knows. He's a free citizen. Let him take his car from here to Osun. If he can go freely without the army escort or a police escort, or go through Kaduna without any escort. If he goes and come back, which means he has gone through Amotekun training. But what we are saying now is, we should, for now that we are having issues, we should call a spade a spade. A situation where many soldiers are withdrawing and running away from, deserting the army, going away with our arms and ammunition, unchecked. Most of them, they have run away in thousands. Most of them were killed by Boko Haram and all the insurgencies, and they have taken away their guns. These are the problems we are having in the society now. Because they didn't run away for nothing, they are still using part of what they have taken away to humiliate us.
Senator, I'm afraid we need to...
Even in the night.
We need to conclude on this one, Senator. My apologies on this, Senator. But quickly, Mr. Adesina, are you going to take up the challenge?
No, the senator begged the question. The question was, does he know that the military was audited? But he begged the question. He went into extraneous issues. We all know that there are challenges in the country. Everybody agrees. Everybody agrees. There are challenges, but these challenges are being encountered, are being faced up front, and we will overcome. We will overcome. I agree that the challenges are enormous. They are daunting, but this is not the time to begin to throw stones and kick those who are confronting the challenges on behalf of the country.
Well, gentlemen, we have to thank you all for your patience and coming to speak to Nigerians on this matter as well. First, we had Shehu Mahdi, a human rights activist, Abdushalam Mohammed, legal practitioner, Senator Francis Fadaunsi, who is the Vice Chairman, Senate Committee on Customs, Excise and Tariff. We also did have Mr. Femi Adesina, Special Advisor to the President on Media and Publicity. Gentlemen, thank you all for your perspectives this morning. We will be back. There are several other items that we'll have on the burner in just a moment. Don't go away. Welcome back. Well, we're turning attention to another matter now. We've got Mr. Olajide Oduyoye, who is the General Manager of LASMA. So, good morning. Good to see you.
Good morning to you.
Well, there's an impending closure of the Third Mainland Bridge, and we know that several times traffic management policy or program are being worked on, alternative routes, but there will always be the apprehension. Oh dear, the Third Mainland Bridge is going to be partially closed, 3 months from both lanes. But the huge concern now is, how are people going to cope? So what is the traffic management plan?
Well, I'll start with dealing with the apprehension that people may have. And I'll break it down in the sense that the bridge has got 2 legs. And so the work program is to close one leg while the other leg is available. So the first leg that will be closed will be from the Adeniji Adele end towards Oworoshoki, while the Oworoshoki end to Adeniji will be open for the first 3 months. Technically, what we're saying is the commuters that go from the mainland to the island don't have a problem because nothing has changed.
At all the time? Was it
all the
during
time.
1 p.m. to 12 p.m.? Or
between 12 midnight and 12 noon. And that is the AM peak movement to the island. And so from 1 p.m. to 12 midnight, the reverse would happen because then that is the PM peak coming back towards the mainland. And so basically, those that are likely to be affected, which is a small number, will be the normal commuting traffic that wants to go to the island from 12 noon.
Okay.
So those are the only ones that we need to cater for. And the numbers are expected to be small.
So what's the plan for those ones?
Well, there's no plan. The plans are there, like if you're going to a Third Mainland Bridge, depending on what area you're coming from, if you're coming from the Obudu area, Alakwade area, or from Mowe side from Ogun State, which means now when you get to Oworoshoki, you have to do a right to go into Apapa Oshodi Express and go down to Antony to link Ikorodu Road. And that take you to Barracks and take Eko Bridge. If not, you can go through Jibowu and go through Yaba, take Murtala Mohammed Way and go to Oyingbo, Ido, and take Kata Bridge to come to the island.
But we thought that this is supposed to be when those alternative routes are operational. But we understand that they're working on those alternative routes. Are they going to be over and done with fully when this closure happens?
Yes, they are done. I mean, we went out on site with the controller from Federal Ministry of Works and the Lagos State Ministry of Works and Infrastructure. We went out, and what basically we're saying is like the routes that it's already being used. So people should not confuse that some strange new brand road was being created and being called alternative. What we're saying is like once you're not able to go over the Third Mainland Bridge, these other routes are available. So the government accepts that they may not be as motorable as we would like it to be. And in order to help the situation, make it smoother, so works have been done on them to make it smoother for vehicles to travel on them.
Well, some would wonder that, I mean, we knew that since about the middle of last year that the Third Mainland Bridge was going to be closed and consequently alternatives should have been planned ahead. For instance, we understand right now that there are some portions of the First or Second Mainland Bridge, is it Eko or Kata Bridge, that is also closed now? Eko Bridge is closed now. So, I mean, that definitely makes it a lot more cumbersome, so to speak.
Yeah, well, let me break it down the way I feel that maybe our viewers can understand it. I will just relate the road network to our bodies, right? So on Monday, my body is okay, all right? And then I know I need to see my doctor in 6 months' time for normal checkup because I need to check myself up. But in between the 6 months, right, I have constant headache or I have broken bone or something. Then I have to attend to that because it's just happened. I can't leave it. The fact that I have to do general checkup doesn't change anything. So that is what happened to Eko Bridge. We found out that the joints and the bearings on that place was just completely weak. is already, in fact, it was a major safety issue. So it needed to be closed for works to be on. It's different from a plant maintenance. So you deal with emergencies as it is. I think the government is doing a great job in trying to make sure they fix it, because the story would change if anyone was to lose their lives as a result of negligence, just living and managing it because you don't want people to complain about traffic. Our safety is the most paramount.
Well, going forward, we'll come to some of that. Hopefully we'll be able to get some maintenance system going. But when our correspondent Olu Phillips went out last week, he with all the things that he saw, he feels that it's very doubtful that we'll be able to have what you are saying. It's one thing to make the promises. It's another thing entirely for people to have the kind of experience that is manageable, in your own opinion.
Well, I would not expect anyone who is used to Lagos to say they're not used to traffic. Every single day there's traffic in Lagos. And you just have to be a realist and ask yourself, what constitutes the traffic? Who makes the traffic happen? It's us. It's nobody else. It's nobody's fault. It's not LASMA. It's not the government. Although we all have responsibilities. The government has responsibilities to make sure that the roads are okay, because you have traffic gridlocks when you have big potholes, when the rains come and the roads are not managed, or the roads are not the level in which they should be. So now if you have COVID, right, that distorts what needs to happen. If you don't have the requisite funding, that affects how many roads you can deal with. So that's government side. On the other side, a lot of us here, maybe because a public transportation system is not at the level it should be, so we rely on our private vehicles. And so we have 10 million people coming out onto the roads in a state where geographically is the smallest in the whole country. And we all want to go out. And the funny thing is, like, majority of the traffic movement moves from one section, mainland, and goes onto the island for work, for business, for marketing. And then in the afternoon, we do the same thing. And then the public transport people don't care because it's not regulated. The only thing that's regulated now is the BRT buses that is being done. And the governor is doing a good job to make sure that increases. But then when you have the yellow buses that are privately owned and they all vying to make their money whichever way they can, the chaos is just there for us to see every single day. So it is not the Third Mainland Bridge that is changing the parameters. It is the system, us, the way it is, our realities, that is causing the traffic.
Well, the realities are already compounded. So
yes.
Partial closure of that bridge is going to aggravate the whole thing.
No, but like I said, we should be sincere. Like, those that are likely to be affected as a result of the partial closure are the smaller numbers of those coming from the island, coming to the mainland between 12 midnight and 12 noon.
Yeah, but the thing about that is the tailback, some of those other routes. You should know this better than me, how the feeder routes always get affected. But the thing is, the point you made about those yellow buses that are not regulated, even before the closure of the bridge, has always been a headache to road users. So what is the thinking about them now in terms of how to manage this?
Well, that's a good question. I had a meeting with the management of NURTW. And the reason we had, because there's some works going on at mile 12 on the Ikorodu Road corridor. And that corridor itself is sensing traffic every single day. So mile 12 compounds it. And then when you want to do works, you can just imagine. But they stepped in to speak with their guys. And for whatever magical reason, it's not as bad as people were expecting. So we're thinking, whatever magic wand that you guys waved, I want to see it happen when the Third Mainland Bridge is being closed. So we called them in and we've asked them, like, please, we need you to collaborate with the government side and to talk to your people that this situation will affect everyone, even your members, because you can't make money in traffic. If you're not making your trips, you can't make your money. So it behoves on all of us, right, to do what we need to do to make sure that intersections, junctions, which is what causes most gridlocks, because once you can't come out from side roads and everything, because downfall drivers are parked there to pick up passengers, those are the sort of little things at every intersection that causes a problem. So if they collaborate and they do well, I am sure the the fear that we're just going to be on standstill, whatever, would not come to pass.
One of the things that is also responsible for gridlocks, which I'm sure you will be aware of, are broken down vehicles.
Oh yes.
We had that challenge in this axis when the expressway was partially closed as well, that whenever there is a breakdown, there is tremendous traffic all over, you know, and it's funny how it affects almost the entire city. So what's the plan? Because big trucks are going to break down, not because they want to, but sometimes it just happens. What's the plan to evacuate as soon as, so as to free up the roads?
Well, you're asking a serious and challenging question, and I'm just going to try and be as brutally honest as I can be. There will be breakdowns. As long as the trucks, the trailers, and the tankers and the container carriers are allowed on Lagos roads every single day, every minute of the day, there will be breakdowns. And it is not now, except the government steps up and like, okay, this is a major issue, and then you begin to come down with some strict laws about the mechanical capacity of these vehicles, the overloading. Now, how do you begin to deal with overloading right now? Right? Because you must have weigh bridges. But are we going to have the weigh bridges in the next 1 month? Very unlikely. So there are certain things from the government side that can be done to change the parameter of breakdowns. But when it breaks down, it is now the ability of the emergency rescue team to get to the scene. Now, once a breakdown happens, you can just imagine in 3 seconds, vehicles have already come down. So the emergency vehicles, how will they access the place to evacuate? If it's now dangerous goods and everything, you have to cut on the whole road. You can't even manage it. We're talking about PMS, we're talking about other dangerous components that these trailers can be carrying. And so it is our road network and unavailable alternative for motorists to use that is the big problem. So you take the major routes, Third Mainland Bridge, Ikorodu Road, Lagos-Ibadan Express, those major, Lagos-Abeokuta, Agege Motor Road. Anything happens to all those 3 axis road, Lagos is coming down. And you had Lekki Express too. So unfortunately, that is our reality. So the government will do everything possible to evacuate as much as possible within the safe parameter, right? But within that time, what do we do? Do we endure? Do we understand the situation? Or do we begin to mess things up to make it worse for ourselves? Which is what I feel happens most of the time.
All right, we'll be keeping tabs, and everyone, I think at this point, everybody has got to ensure that they do what they can to see how we can sort all of this and ensure, well, one important part is we road users. We need to think differently how we use the roads as well, so that we're all in this together.
Yes, I'm glad you said that. So, I mean, it's an opportunity to just plead with motorists like, listen, LASTMA officers on the road, they're not magicians. They're Nigerians, they are brothers, they are sisters, they're on the road. When they tell you to stop, just stop. There's a reason for telling you to stop so that somebody else can go.
So do we expect that they will now apply the rules with a human face? Because some people will miss their way.
Yes, they always do that. Some people will miss the way. We always do that. It is the verbals and the aggression that changes the factors.
Don't they have a right to be afraid of LASTMA because they believe that once the LASTMA officials
attack is the best form of defense.
Attack is the best form of defense. Once the LASTMA officials,
but no physical attack, please.
You know.
No. But the truth of the matter is, if you don't do wrong, the chances of LASTMA officer stopping you is less than 5%.
Which is what he is asking.
Yes.
At this time, people who do not know are going to miss their way. Okay, this is what is happening right now.
We have our correspondent, Olu Phillips. He's on the roads
right.
To monitor what's going on. So those are, we know, those are live images coming through. So let's find out where Olu Phillips is. And already, we'll go see the gridlock. So can we bring Olu on now? Olu, tell us what's happening. Where are you at the moment?
Yeah, Chamberlain, it's a bright and beautiful morning here. We are on the pedestrian bridge very close to Alaka bus stop. I'm just going to pull off a little so that the cameraman can actually zoom in to show you what exactly is going on the Ikorodu Road. Now, this is Ikorodu Road, and these are the people making their way from stadium, barracks, and all of that, traveling into Lagos Island. Now, this is the traffic congestion we have. And clearly, this is not an issue of traffic management. It's an issue of having limited road arteries to use. And what we can also see, if my cameraman can come this way, I want to take you to the other side, the exit point. You can see that the trucks have taken over one lane of the road. They are parked, they are stationary. Yes, they have the right to use the road. Yes, they have the right to approach the ports. Yes, they have the right to go take care of their consignments and delivery of goods. But again, what that means is that all the vehicles coming from the 6-lane highway will be narrowed into just one lane, making it all the way to Funshaw Williams by Igomu roundabout and return back to the Eco Bridge. Now, remember that Eco Bridge is also blocked for repairs. That's why we can't have people use the Eco Bridge, and that's the challenge we are having here at Chamberlain.
So at the moment, in terms of, we know that people that's already on their calendar. What's the impression you get from those who are using the roads as to their preparation, their knowledge of what is going to happen on July 24? Because they need to know that in order to manage and plan their time properly. Do you get a sense that they seem to be prepared for that?
Chamberlain, let me tell you something. As early as 6 a.m., I had been combing this area to find out if is there a travel time, is there a time of the day when you can actually travel on this road and beat the traffic. But I did realize that whether it is 5 a.m., whether it is 6 a.m., we have an influx of people from the mainland wanting to go to the island. And simply put, they do not have that access roads to get onto the island because all of the axes, all of the arteries are narrowed in because of the repairs. Now, so let me give you another example. Those coming from Orile Igomu, coming from Eric Moore, coming from Bode Thomas, coming from Ogulano Drive in Sulere, coming from Aguda, everyone is going to confluence. I'll have a confluence point at this place. So if you're traveling from that point, you're coming from this way, whether at 6 a.m., whether at 7 a.m., whether at 8 a.m., you will be slowed down here because there is a bottleneck. You're moving from a 6-lane, 2 lanes in the inner street, and you're coming back to just 1 lane that will take you across to the other side of Eco Bridge. So when I spoke to some people early this morning, they said to me, it's not about being unruly on the road. It's not about having 1,000 traffic officers on the road. We don't have access roads to move. And this is simply the challenge. Mind you, you have a lot of trucks on this axis of the road because the Oshodi-Apapa Expressway inward Tinkan Island is under construction and has been cordoned off for construction between the Coconut Bridge and the Tinkan Port Gate. So trucks can use that side of the road. They've all converged here. They are on this side of the road, struggling also with other motorists. This is the situation, and this is a foretaste of what will eventually happen when you also add the repairs of the Third Mainland Bridge by way of closure. This is just a foretaste. This is a schematics of what is going to happen, if you like.
All right, so just give us a moment. We need to go to break, but we'll come back and just take one more perspective before we wrap it up today. So please stay with us. All right, welcome back. We'll get back to Olu shortly, but haven't seen that scenario. What's your thought?
My thought is he's speaking the reality on ground. Everything Olu said is true. And so we ask ourselves, if you don't have a genuine reason to travel to the island, why go? Because you're only going to compound what is already a reality on ground.
But there's a genuine reason for people to go to work. It's a genuine reason for people to go to work on the island.
But a lot of us can also work from home without having to go there.
So is this where the government or the employers have to have a handshake?
Yes, they have to step in because this is an emergency situation. I mean, you ask your workforce to come to work, to come to the island, and then they're not useful because they're tired and they're stressed up. What are you going to get out of them? So this is an emergency and we need together. This is not finger-pointing situation right now. Like Olu said, we don't have the infrastructure to move us from the mainland to move us to the island. And anything can happen. I mean, I just give a crazy situation. What if both bridges collapses? What are we going to do?
All right, Olu, let's. What would you be asking people to do now? I mean, this is definitely not one of those times that it's not a tea party, as we say, Olu. So, what would be your counsel to commuters, especially, and of course, because I mean, it is definitely not a funny scenario. You heard, I don't know if you were able to hear the last GM here saying that, look, maybe the government and the private sector need to have a handshake. What do you think that is relevant here, given what you see on the roads?
Brilliant. I mean, we didn't wake up into this situation. This situation was going to happen. The bridges have to be repaired. They have to be maintained. But what I didn't see, or what we should have known, or what we should know, is that society governance is a product of research, is a product of deliberations, is a product of simulations. Now, did we know that we could have at least simulated the situation and asked ourselves, what's the volume of vehicles moving onto the island on a daily basis? Do we know that? Where are people pouring into? What part of the Lagos Island are people pouring into? Must people get into the island? Do we have that research result? Do we have those statistics? Why are people traveling from the mainland in the morning? Everybody goes this way, and in the evening, everybody comes this way. Did we do those schematics? When we were closing the Eko Bridge, did we ask how many vehicles use Eko Bridge and how many will be shortchanged if it gets closed? When we closed the Apapa Marine Beach, which is supposed to carry trucks into Apapa, and you know how much the customs, for instance, rake in from that port. They rake in very good money, and it is second to the oil revenue. When we are going to close that bridge to maintenance, did we ask ourselves, did the federal government and the state government, did they push the envelopes to ask themselves, okay, Lagos State, we're going to do this. How does this affect your commerce? Did we have those conversations? When we started constructing the Lagos-Apapa Oshodi Expressway, Oshodi Expressway, knowing that these ones are also under construction, did we have a conversation to ask, how many vehicles are going to be on that road? How many can be taken off that road? Now people wake up and they are told, oh, we're going to close the bridges. Oh, so drive slowly, obey traffic chaperons. If you don't have any business on the island, don't go to the island. This is not a conversation that we should be having. We should have had these conversations planned, had our statistics, people will get to know it, and other than people coming onto the road and depending on Google to tell them where the red lights are and where the green lights are. We didn't have this conversation, and that's not a clean way to have development. That's not a clean way to institute governance. It should be about research, it should be about schematics, it should be about simulations. Try out this thing, experiment them. Take a weekend, ask yourself, let's experiment it this weekend. If it works, then we'll try it again the second week. Lagos should actually have a robust intermodal transport system. You use the waterways, you use the landways. And what confidence have we inspired for those who may want to try the waterways? Do I want to travel on water? Maybe no. But has it become expedient? Maybe yes. But am I scared enough to do that? I do not know. Do I have enough information to do that? Maybe yes, maybe no. Chamberlain, these are some of the real questions that we should have had before now. But it's never late to have them. Maybe some of these projects have to be aligned in such a way that they make sense in terms of execution. Yes, it should be about strategy and execution. We know we should repair the bridges, but you should have strategy and execution in place.
All right, thank you very much indeed, even though I did one, he's not a councillor, but he didn't listen to me, so now you have it. Well, Mr. Deye, clearly your job is cut out for you. A lot of people expect a lot from Lagos, and so who knows?
So can I just straight away recommend Olu Phillips to be transport minister for the country, and I want to recommend him and I want to endorse him at the same time.
Maybe he should start by being your advisor as well, first of all. Take it from there.
It's bigger than that. It's bigger than that. I mean, what he's saying is real. It's what should happen. We do have statistics. We have data, but are we using it? And are we using it when? And like everything else, things happen so fast, and we tend to want to pray that this would not happen. and sometimes prayers are not answered the way we want it to be.
But it's good to know that at least one component, the yellow buses. I think they gave you their word that they will conduct themselves decently.
That's the thing. And Chamberlain, we have 6 months, all right, to deal with this. This is an ongoing thing. So we start the first week, we evaluate, we check what's going on, what is it that we've done wrong, what are the lessons learned in the first week, where we're going, and then we sit down, just like Olu said, we sit down, we look at it, and check like, okay, what other measures can be put in place? Because 6 months is a long time, and it covers the Christmas period, so that's very scary.
That's to next year.
It's very scary, I'm telling you.
Oh dear.
But a lot depends on the motorists. A lot depends on them. So
we'll have to bring you back eventually, because there are some other areas that we need to actually take a look at, hoping that we all see how we can work together to ensure things work well for all of us. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We wish you all the best as well.
Thank you very much.
Well, that is the show today. We thank you all for watching. Well, Ruth and Sulaiman Mohammed, we see your emails. We appreciate all of them. We'll get across to you. All of those who have reached out, wanting to get across to the family in UAE, we love you all. We appreciate that. Please keep them coming through. We'll see you tomorrow. I'm Chamberlain Uso.
I'm Ayo Makinde. Have a wonderful day, and please do keep safe.
Oh,